Yeah, still nothing. We had you there for a brief second.
Yeah.
All right, as soon as Andrew gets his audio fixed, we'll take the show live. Are you going through a mixer board or anything like that, Andrew? All right, so your source on your computer should be the USB mic input. And it needs to be turned about 78. Man, this guy can't catch a break, can he, Gary? No baseball, and he's silent right now.
That's the way your whole season's been going, isn't it, Andrew?
They're not ready for you, Andrew. We're still waiting on Andrew to get his audio working on his end.
Yeah. It seemed like when you hit refresh, something came up.
Yeah. Can you still hear us? That's Andrew Murphy, the new voice of the Lexington Legends. But he's voiceless right now because his audio is not working. Nope.
You want to? Does he have a Andrew? Do you have a cell phone that can show William the board, your computer board?
Yeah, you want to Facebook call me? Facebook Messenger, call me. Maybe I can help you out that way. Can't hear you guys either now.
All right, I'm back.
You
guys?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, yeah, I heard you. Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Let's hope this. Hope it stays this way.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Let's.
That's good, Andrew.
Let's run the opener here and get everything set up for everybody, and then we'll get
Rock
right
and
into
roll.
it.
Rock and roll. Voice of the Legend.
Get this set up here real quick. All right, here we go, guys. All right, now we're here. Now we're talking. All right, Andrew Murphy, the voice of the Lexington Legends, the new play-by-play man. And Andrew, how's things going for you, man?
Things are going all right as well as they can. I mean, I wish, of course, there was baseball to be played and called and watched, but there are bigger things at hand right now.
Right. Yeah, this virus has put a stall on all things sports. Just about. I mean, there's some select games going on right now that has either no crowds or very limited crowds. Whitaker Bank Ballpark hosting some of these baseball tournament things going on, like the college events that are going on, the PBR events that are going on. But we don't have Legends Baseball. Minor League Baseball decided to cancel for the 2020 season.
Yeah, they did decide to cancel, and as somebody who had to represent a team, or has to represent a team rather, I've had to sort of be as optimistic as possible, and not only that I've had to, but I've wanted to. But the unfortunate reality is that I definitely saw this outcome as most probable for this year. So, yeah, baseball's just in a really dark spot right now, and I'm not really sure that a whole lot of people know what's coming.
Yeah.
And Andrew, you had an opportunity to not only call games for the Lexington Legends, but a two-time champion. I mean, going for a three-peat. So you're denied of a three-peat.
Yeah, I mean that's one way to look at it, but I mean, hey, I got two under my belt. Of course, I wasn't at the forefront of those. That was Emma Tiedemann, who I took the place of in Lexington. She's now up in Portland with the Sea Dogs, the Red Sox affiliate. But she was a real good friend and still is, and a good mentor when I started to kind of explore broadcasting and everything that goes with it.
Yeah.
Andrew, do you remember? Do you remember 2 years ago when I said, we were sitting there talking on the headset? I believe you were running camera over on First for us or something.
Yeah.
I was like, Andrew, man, you need to be a voice of something. You need to start a podcast. You need to do a radio show or something. And I think we were doing the movie voices. Do you remember that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the conversations on those headsets were always something I looked forward to. But yeah, I mean, with you and everybody on the camera crew those 2 years and everybody in the front office, it was just a real encouraging experience. So I have you in part to thank for my willingness to kind of totally, absolutely, for my willingness to kind of go out on a limb and explore something new. And it's gone as well as it's gone. So thank you.
Yeah, I just remember, here's this young college kid that has the voice of $1 million that maybe he shouldn't be behind the camera. Maybe he should be behind the microphone.
Well, I mean, I think it's beneficial to know how the entire broadcast production operates, so that you can kind of have better communication with broadcast directors down the road. And I think it's beneficial to be pretty well rounded in the whole area there.
Gary Ball, you're a long time play-by-play guy. You've done everything from the pros to the college ranks to the high school ranks, which is you and I passion. We love high school sports, but I wanted to hook you guys up today, especially on this podcast, because I think there's a lot of good here that you guys could share with one another that might be beneficial for some others that are out there that maybe want to chase a dream of being a professional broadcaster one day.
Well, I would just say to Andrew that it's great. I think it's great what you're doing with baseball, and but you know, do as many broadcasts as you can, whether that be high school, college, whatever. Since the Legends are down this year, you got obviously some time to think about that, and I covered the Reds for many years, so I got to know Marty Brennaman. What a great mentor he is. When I was at UK, I got to work alongside Kaywood Ledford, the voice of the Cats, for many years, and so I would just say keep doing what you're doing. I think you've got a bright future broadcasting. I know it was kind of put out this year and squelched because you didn't have a season to do, but I would say, William, I would tell Andrew, just be comfortable in your own skin. Don't really try to emulate anybody. Be your own person. Be your own. Do your own thing. You strike me as a person who's probably going to do that anyway. So, but that's good.
Right.
Uh, I listen to a lot of baseball announcers growing up. Harry Carey, of course, Marty Brennan and
My
Al
favorite.
Michaels when he did the Reds. So I'd say that the future's bright for Andrew Murphy. There with the Legends.
Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate that. And going back to what you said about just getting as much experience as possible, reps are the name of the game. As long as you can
Yeah.
get experience doing anything, I mean, that's pretty much what I've learned. And so when baseball's not in session, I took it upon myself to do just mock broadcasts of UK women's basketball, and even just kind of sitting in my bedroom and calling games over just announcerless footage, if you will. Even that sort of thing helps. And there's so many,
Yeah.
especially with the just advancement of technology and the internet moving forward and everything. There's so many resources out there for young
Yeah.
sportscasters who need to get the demo reel, but otherwise wouldn't have the concrete opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. You going over to a suite quite often. You would come to a Legends game, and you would go over to a suite and basically record yourself. Doing that ball game, creating your own demo reel, if you will. I think even a couple times you may have come over and asked us if we had an extra microphone for crowd noise or something. But I knew what you were up to. You reminded me a lot of myself whenever I started broadcasting this high school sports. I mean, you're on a much higher level than I ever was, but although we've taken different paths, I'm more of the production side. You're a talent guy. I knew exactly what you're up to. I knew the work ethic that you were putting in on it, and you just struck a bell. You said it's all about reps, and that's very, very important,
Yep.
because once you get comfortable with yourself, the sky is the limit. I mean, you could go wherever you want to go once you're comfortable in your own skin behind the mic. You know what I mean? So I mean, you
Yep.
definitely put in the work.
Yeah, and it's funny because it never feels like work. I mean, of course, there are tedious things you have to do, preparing game notes and keeping stats updated and things like that. But when you really get lost in it during the games, especially, it's just pure enjoyment for me. And I
Yeah,
think any other broadcaster could say the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah, you just said something there when you get lost in the game, and you really do, don't you, Andrew? When you're calling a game, you're
Oh,
just
absolutely.
totally focused in on that field. And say, I remember Kay Wood said to me years ago. He said, "Be the most prepared person." William can tell you that I'm pretty prepared, aren't I, William, when it
oh
comes to
yeah,
our football game. And he said also create, try to imagine that person is not watching the game in person, but try to create a picture for them. And that's really what you're trying to do as a play-by-play guy.
It's funny. The whole paint a picture thing. Um, First off, that phrase alone helped me tenfold when I was starting out. Because I mean, there were moments when, especially early on, I still cringe at my demo tapes. I have no words for some of the things that I can explain in like a minute now. But going back to being as descriptive as possible, especially on the radio, a couple weeks back, Tim Nevert of the Los Angeles Dodgers held a series of Zoom calls with minor league broadcasters from all over the country and at every level. And so I got into one of these calls, and he used that same phrase, paint the picture, and he told us a story about when he was calling games for either the Pirates or the Red Sox. I forgot what team he was with at the time, but he was calling a game, an away game, and there was a production assistant running a wire to his broadcast booth, and he thought it was weird because he was like, well, we've got all of our equipment hooked up here. What else do you need? And the production assistant leans down to him and says, well, there's a season ticket holder who's blind, and he doesn't like the home announcer, whoever that was. And so whenever he sits in the ballpark, we always run a wire to him, and he likes to listen to the games done by the away announcer. And so Tim Neverett told us that right there it hit him. It wasn't just a saying anymore. He was doing a game for a blind person, and that blew my mind.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I mean, the whole painted picture thing, the whole, I mean, you can only imagine. I mean, just like you said with the blind person, where they, they're looking out, but it's all black to them or light. I've heard of blind folks, seeing light. But
Yeah.
you know, you let them know what's going on out there, and it, you definitely want to keep the detail in everything that you talk about. But then you also got your TV audience as well. So how do you balance the two, Andrew?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends. So radio, of course, you can't see anything, and so you are the eyes and ears, the whole experience. Excuse me, for the listener, and TV. TV is more story oriented. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with TV. When I was in the Northwoods League last summer with the Duluth Huskies, we would rotate. We had 5 broadcasters, and there'd be 2 on radio, 2 on the webcast or TV format, and then the odd man out for home games would do PA. But on those TV formatted broadcasts through the Northwoods League network, we would try to, engage in sort of a more casual conversation. You don't have to really say the score as much because it's right there on the score bug. Same with outs and who's on first or second or third or what have you. So there's a lot less describing you have to do on TV, and much more storytelling, and the conversation is more casual. I think the best example of TV broadcasters in the major leagues, and this is my opinion, are Don Orsillo and Mark Grant of the San Diego Padres. And they work so well together because they have just become absolute best friends. And so they have no problem joking with each other on the air and just having a blast. And that at the end of the day is what it's all about, especially with your broadcast partner. You have to work with whoever you work with, you have to try your best to have fun and bring a fun experience to the viewers.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. Totally.
You've got quite a challenge though, because normally in minor league baseball, it's a solo man's job. Or a solo woman in Emma's case. To do the whole game. Not only that, you got names that are hard to rightfully pronunciate, right? So,
yeah.
I don't think I said pronunciate right. So, you know what I mean.
We'll give you a mulligan on that one. That's fine.
Give me a mulligan.
That's something I would do anyway. But no, and that's actually, it's funny you say that, because that's where other broadcasters, that's where you're supposed to help each other out. You've got the pronunciation guide on the roster, or either, hey, I don't know what this guy's name is supposed to sound like, and they'll clear it up for you. There's a really tight bond, and especially from what I've seen in the South Atlantic League, between a lot of broadcasters. I know Emma Tiedemann was super tight with everybody who came through. Sean Mernon, to be precise, Sean Mernon, another good friend and mentor. He calls games for the Bowling Green Hot Rods now. But broadcasting is an industry where you I don't know, it's very tight knit, and everybody is very willing to help each other out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary?
I mean, he's exactly right. I think the main thing that Andrew hit on that's correct is whatever you're doing, have fun doing it. Just have fun. I mean, if you can have fun doing your job, then it's going to come out. Because I had an old broadcaster years ago that got me started in radio up in northern Kentucky at WHKK. He said, Gary, there's a lot of things you can fake, but you can't fake enthusiasm. And that he was so right about that. I mean, you work with a great team there at the Legends, with Andy Shea and William, and I know Gary Durbin really well, the senior VP. What a great guy, Gary Durbin. Known that family for a long time. Ever since Brett played quarterback at Lafayette, won the Tommy Bell Award. I've known that guy so long. And what the Legends have been around since 2001. Is that right? Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And 19 years. I think that you're with a great organization. All the tools are right there for you, Andrew, and just have fun, doing your job, and I think you'll do a great job when you get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
It'd be one thing if it was just me not getting to call baseball, but I mean it's literally everybody right now. Just
Yeah,
besides a handful of people in Northwoods League, I know has games streaming right now, and they're with their respective radio stations. They've got broadcasters up there, and um, it's interesting. A lot of minor league teams are taking it upon themselves to either work in summer collegiate leagues or splitting up. I know in the Northwoods League particularly, what they're doing is so each team is basically lending a hub city. There are different hub cities depending on the region, their players for the season. And so instead of the Duluth Huskies, they'd be the Bismarck Bull Moose. I think the Huskies gave the Larks their players for the season. And so they're just rotating in at the same stadium to account for COVID-19 precautions and stuff like that. So there's a lot of innovation going on, and just how the game is structured, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see good minds at work.
Yeah.
and I saw some innovation going on with your team and the Florence Freedom. They're going to
Bingo.
try to.
I was hoping that would segue into this.
Yeah. I understand they're going to try to combine some things with them, and I've been to that up there in Florence. That's a nice ballpark up there.
Yes, indeed. I pass that all the time. I've got friends who live in Cincinnati, and so I'll pass that ballpark a time or two every month or so. And so the Legends and the Freedom have basically split into each team is. So I'm not exactly sure how to. So it's the Florence Freedom and the Florence Yalls. The Florence Yalls changed their name from the Freedom, but they're bringing that brand back and hosting two teams there. The Legends are splitting into the Legends and their Copa name, the Leyendas. And I believe starting July 31st, they're playing games on weekends, or I think I heard Wednesday through Sunday is what they're trying to do every week for a few months. And so it looks like Whitaker Bank Ballpark is going to have some serious baseball back on hand here pretty soon.
Yeah. Actually, I got a text earlier from the main man, Andy Shea, and he's asking me, he's like, are we going to be able to stream some of those games? I'm like, man, I've been waiting for that text or that call forever,
Let's
man.
do it.
It almost seems like
I'm
forever
down.
anyway. So yeah, I hope that we get to be a part of what's going on there with that.
Yeah, and again, they just announced it. Go ahead, Gary.
No, I was just going to say, Andrew, it sounds like you will be a part of that from what Andy Shea's asking you. So you guys will have baseball.
I would hope so. Tryouts are July 22nd. I'm not sure if they're going to be open to the public or whatever, but I know for a fact that the ticket information is available online now. Bourbon Trail games will be they'll be starting July 31st, and so follow the Legends or the Freedom on social media for any updates.
Yeah, I saw.
Well, I'll just say this publicly: I'm glad they're back to the Freedom and away from that y'all. That Florence. I didn't like that name at all.
That Florence Y'all. If you remember, that water tower up there, that's in the mall's parking lot. That's always stood out. Even as I was growing up, and we always drove by it. That was the one thing that I always remembered. So that actually might be a very, very good marketing thing for them. I mean, if you think about minor league baseball and all the different, things that that are out there,
exactly.
It just fits.
Goofy names sell, man. They really do. Like the there's a new team in Alabama called the Rocket City Trash Pandas, and their mascot is a raccoon in a metal trash can. Like, that's hilarious. I love that. The Hartford Yard Goats are another classic. The Asheville Tourists, I mean, their mascot is literally a tourist. Like, that's like, what do you what do you do with that? It's just it's fun. It sells. So I love it. Even the Lexington Legends. I mean, that's kind of a, Big L as the symbol of what's a legend? Just a guy with a big mustache. Like it's awesome.
I think
It's so
when they
lighthearted
talk
and
about
fun.
I think when they talk about Lexington Legends, you got to throw our guy Doug Flynn in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
You
I remember, when the Legends were looking for a name, when they very first started, they were looking for a name, and that was the name that they ended up choosing, which I mean, it was a great, again, another great marketing thing,
It's worked well.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand, but now that you look back on it 19 years later, and you kind of wonder, where did that name come from? Where did Big L come from? Who's Big L look like the most to you? Is it Alan Stein? Is that what we're thinking about, or is it something else?
I mean, he doesn't really. When I look at Big L, I think Bernie Brewer. To be honest with you, the Milwaukee Brewers mascot. That's who he reminds me of the most.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's he doesn't bring anybody right into my mind. Maybe Stein. Yeah, Stein. What you said. I don't know.
You know who he, and I hope Andy don't get me for this, but Big L and Andy kind of favor when Andy's got that full Manchu going on,
Yeah, I suppose they do.
Of course, he was named that before Andy even got involved with them, but yeah,
right.
I'm just picking on Andy a little bit, but I've just always been curious. Maybe Andy knows a story behind that. But certainly,
yeah,
Alan.
I'll have to look into that for sure.
So yeah, man. So how's this transition going for you? I know we were expecting you had baseball started. I knew we were expecting you several games already into the season before you had been able to come down. But I believe you're in Missouri right now. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm in my hometown of St. Louis. Moved back in March after UK sort of put the kibosh on all on-campus classes, and it was extremely sad. Just to kind of have my senior year of college, kind of just taken away by nobody's device, but this horrible virus. At the same time, I look back on it, and with the season starting in April, I would have been a nervous wreck between having to prepare for games like 5 to 6 times a week and also taking care of my remaining assignments for school. Not saying that I wouldn't rather have that, because I totally would, but it's so, there's a certain point you just got what else is there to think of it besides you just got to move forward. I mean, the transition was super. I mean, it hasn't even felt like a transition. I don't feel like I graduated college. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have a ceremony or anything, and so it's been kind of sad. But again, you just got to look ahead and create as many opportunities for yourself as you can, and hope for the best.
Yeah. Did you grow up a St. Louis Cardinals fan, or were you a Royals fan?
Oh yeah. No, I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Lexington has the three big things the city's known for. You got bourbon, horse racing, and basketball. St. Louis has its own 3 things. You got the Arch, you got beer, and you've got St. Louis Cardinals baseball. And I fell in love with St. Louis Cardinals baseball at a very early age. And I didn't even play baseball at a very high level. But being surrounded by such a great baseball culture really set a nice precedent for me to just fall in love with the game. And I always knew I wanted to work in it in some capacity, and I feel extremely lucky that I get to do that.
Yeah, we've had some pro baseball players on here before, and
Yes.
Gary can attest to this. They always say when you talk about the towns that they've played in and where they feel like the fans really think baseball means the most, you always have 3 cities that always come up, and that's the Chicago Cubs fans, right? That's the Boston Red Sox fans and the St. Louis
undoubtedly.
Cardinals fans. It's always those 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because those baseball traditions they stretch back so far in time, and other cities do too, like Cincinnati. I mean, weren't they technically the first team in the major leagues or something
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
yeah,
Um,
they were.
so
Yeah,
um, I mean, that's not the only thing, of course, factoring in, but I think that any city with a long-standing tradition of a successful team, or a lack of success with the Cubs, there's I've heard it called a losing culture. Everybody just likes to, I don't know, um, they like that sort of hopeful mentality of maybe next year, and then in 2016, in Chicago, and '04 in Boston. I mean, it just erupts, and it seems to open up an unprecedented sort of just cultural aura for these teams. It's a beautiful
yeah.
thing.
yeah. But you are talking to two Cubs fans.
I didn't know you were a Cubs fan, William.
I'm a
I thought
huge
you were
Cubs fan.
Cincinnati Reds through and
Oh no,
through. You know what? You've mentioned that
no.
before. Never mind. That's me
Uh,
being forgetful.
yeah, because we always used to.
So I
You had forgotten because we always used to kid each other over the headsets as
yeah,
well
yeah.
about the Cubs and the Cardinals.
It's
Yeah.
it's selective
Well,
attention. I just
yeah,
throw all the
and I
Cubs related material out of my head.
I tell you,
and I
those.
am a Cubs fan,
Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry,
but
man.
Robert was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals out of Omaha, Nebraska, University of Omaha, Nebraska. I became a Cardinals fan. Then he went through his rookie ball. They won the championship, so he got a ring. So his first year, he thought, man, oh, I got a ring. And then he played another season or two, and then had injury or something, and the Cardinals let him go. Now he got picked up. Speaking of nicknames, Andrew, the T-Bones. The Kansas City
Kansas
T-Bone. It's
City
a
T-Bones,
minor.
yeah, the American
Yeah,
Association.
exactly. That's who he's playing for last year, and I think he got picked back. Well, they didn't. They're not playing baseball, but he was going to get picked back up by him this year. But so I
Yeah.
am kind of a
I
quasi
think
Cardinal.
that's good to hear. That's all too common in either and mostly in St. Louis, because a lot of for whatever reason, a lot of people I know have pretty significant ties to Chicago, whether it be family or work or whatever. And my mom's entire side of the family even is from just east of Chicago in a little town called Whiting, Indiana, and they're all Chicago Cubs fans. And so it was fun up until 2016 to tease them about how I've already seen 2 World Series and I wasn't even like 13. Um,
Yeah.
and but then 2016, that whole conversation kind of shut down because it was like, all right, you had
Yeah.
your championship, that was cute. No,
Yeah.
I kid, but
Looking at baseball, how they're coming out right now, and we're talking about Major League Baseball here. What do you think about the format? I mean, baseball's baseball, but I don't know if you had a chance to review it or not, but you're gonna have 40 uh, games where teams are going to play within their own division, and then you're going to have 20 games where the National League East would play the American League East, or the National League Central would play the American League Central. So it sets up some pretty exciting matchups. For example, if fans around here wanted to travel to Detroit, for example, they might get to see Detroit take on Cincinnati, or Detroit take on Kansas City, or Detroit take on whoever it may be. As long as the Central lines up, those matchups will happen.
yeah, and again, it at this point, I'll take anything that they give me. I have no qualms with the formatting or anything. I mean, by the end of all those negotiations, I was just like, fine, perfect. Let's play baseball. Um, but I agree. I think it'll be interesting to see. I don't know, maybe potential rivalries come about
Yeah,
between some NL and AL teams that wouldn't otherwise play each other on a regular basis. I mean, interleague play, you'll see the Yankees come through St. Louis, for example, like once every 3 or 4 years, um, and it'll be interesting to see those teams kind of go head to head on a more regular basis. So I'm excited for that for sure.
yeah. One of the things that may stand out this year too is that the Astros playing. Are you looking forward to catching some of their games because of the simple fact that they're going to be playing dodgeball instead of really playing baseball
Yeah.
because you've already heard a lot of the teams are coming with the high heat, so to speak.
Yeah, and they'll get theirs for that. I mean, they still have to kind of see that coming, even with that whole conversation sort of being pushed to the side. But yeah, again, I haven't thought too in depth about what's going to happen when Jose Altuve first steps up to the plate. Like I have longed for baseball. The timing is so off. Like it doesn't even feel like summer really. So I'm just glad that there will be baseball being played and it will be televised and we'll have some sort of a season in 2020.
Who's your favorite player of all time?
Albert Pujols, without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking
Pujols.
talking to Bronson the other day, Bronson Arroyo, and he said that was his toughest batter he've ever faced. And he faced him many times.
And a lot of players had this during the early 2000s when I was growing up. I mean, you talk about your David Ortiz's, your Albert Pujols, Vladimir Guerrero. Those types of hitters just had this intimidation factor. It was so intangible, but when Albert Pujols or Big Papi would step up to the plate, you could see the fear in the pitcher's eyes, and it was just a really cool thing to watch. Albert even battle some of the best pitchers we know now today. I mean, seeing him go head to head against a guy like Justin Verlander in the 06 World Series was a real highlight of my childhood watching baseball, and just really any at bat I could get with Albert Pujols, I knew was more likely to be a good one than not. And so I don't know. I loved that was the first Cardinals home run I ever saw in Busch Stadium was Albert Pujols, May 29th, 2006. I still have the ticket stub.
Nice.
So Albert provided me with a lot of really good, long-lasting memories.
Yeah.
Well, William, of course, I lived up in northern Kentucky, went to high school at Boone County, right across from Riverfront Stadium. So I got to witness the 75 and 76 Cincinnati Reds, the Big Red Machine. And I tell you what, there weren't too many teams. You could put any team up against that one. Everybody talks about the 29 Yankees. I'm sorry. They would not have a shot against the Reds. In that battle, you had Pete Rose, all-time leading hit king, belongs in the Hall of Fame. You had Joe Morgan. You had one of the best clutch hitters of all time, George. You had Foster, who hit 50 home runs one year. You had Tony Perez, Johnny Bench. I didn't mention the best catcher in baseball ever. And my apologies to the Cardinals and Molina. He's pretty good.
I'll let you have that one.
Yeah, that team had 7 or 8 Hall of Famers and Ken Griffey's senior was in that ball club too. That's probably, I would say, the best ball club. And then after they won the '76 championship, I graduated. I went to UK. What Hauser do? He dismantled the team. What an idiot! What a crazy. Gosh, you don't tear away a team that good.
It certainly stands out there. I mean, we've seen some pretty powerful Yankees teams over the years, but that team right there was certainly special.
Yeah, I do like. I kind of like the Yankees, so I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna give the Yankees theirs, but I still I don't care who you are. If you know baseball like you guys do, you look at that Cincinnati Reds team from '75 and '76. Go through that lineup.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with the best team ever.
Andrew, you being from Missouri, you've got 2 really nice ballparks there. Obviously St. Louis has got that beautiful brand new ballpark. Well, it's not brand new anymore, but it's still really new. But then you got Kansas City, which has this total other aura about it, right? Because you've got the waterfall out there in center field. You've got the video board that looks like a king's crown. Just amazing place to go, and then you got the entertainment value of both venues. St. Louis, when you go there, it's a spectacle. It's like a main event boxing fight every time you go there. I feel the Royals put on a hell of a show too.
Yeah.
Some of the best
Absolutely.
ballparks that I've
Absolutely.
been to, obviously Wrigley Field. I always talk about Wrigley Field because of the sound. Texas, when I went to the ballpark in Arlington, I really wish they wouldn't have tore it down because that was one of my favorite ballparks that I've ever been to. Was because of the entertainment value that they had there. What really sells you when you go to a baseball game? I know you look up to these big league players
Oh
and everything,
man.
but you got to have the total package, and certainly the Lexington Legends have the total package here. For a minor league team, one of the best minor league organizations that there is. What sells it for you?
Oh man. In terms of just the ballpark experience, I think that every ballpark I've been to has uh, has had something different to offer. Something different, but something beautiful nonetheless. Um, you're not going to get the same, even with the two ballparks having been built in the same era. You're not going to get the same experience at Fenway Park that you are at Wrigley Field, that those two are only 2 years apart from each other. It has to do with more than just the ballpark itself. I think it has to do with, again, going back to what I said earlier, the culture. I think it has to do with the image that the team wants to project for the fans. And I think that, I mean, like you said, the Royals do an excellent job of that. Wrigley Field with the Cubs, they do a great job. Busch Stadium, a very special place indeed to me. But again, they're like snowflakes. No two are alike. And everyone I've been to, I think I've been to about 13 total now. Everyone has been totally different in its own right and a totally enjoyable experience.
Yeah, Gary, you've been around for a while watching baseball. Um, what what's your favorite ballpark to go to?
Uh, Probably the neatest park that I've been in. We were out in San Francisco a few years ago and went to that ballpark. And Barry Bonds, excuse me. Bobby was his brother, was his dad. He was pretty good
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
But Barry Bonds was playing. He had a home run the night we went to the game. There's a huge glove, big glove out in left center field of that ballpark. It's just a really neat ballpark. But I
yeah.
agree with what Andrew's saying. Some of
McCovey
these parks just
Cove.
have so much personality. So I
Yeah,
probably, the Red Sox have a lot of personality. And I've never been to Camden Yards in Baltimore, but I heard Camden's really a neat place to go to a ball
Camden
game.
is beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
Camden is one of the it's a very it's just got a lot of it's the perfect mix between retro and I guess kind of new age ballpark. It's more modern structurally, but it has more. It definitely um, pays homage to to like the architecture of a different time and sort of that classic ballpark feel. It's right there in the middle.
just
Certainly one of the most beautiful I've ever been to.
just take a right when you're exiting. Don't turn left.
Yeah,
It's a bad little
for real.
neighborhood right there on the left, right? But
I mean,
Yeah,
where the Reds played, William and Andrew, was of course Riverfront Stadium. That was an old cookie cutter stadium, but what a team
yeah,
they had! But and then they built Great American, and that's a nice ballpark. Seats about 45,000, but it's really, you're really cozy in there. So it's a nice ballpark, just up the
yeah,
road here, about an hour and 15 minutes. So
yeah.
yeah.
It's a,
Sure.
it's a great place, man. And the Reds do a great job with entertainment value as well. It's a unique place to go to. But getting back on the minor league stuff here, have you talked with the Legends at all, or do you know what's coming up or what's going on?
Yeah, I've been in decent contact with just multiple people in the front office all summer long, and again, just with all the uncertainty, it's not only hard for the Legends, but everybody in minor league baseball to kind of take the next step forward and really have a clear view of what what the right next step to take is. But I think that with these games paired with the Y'alls or the Freedom, I think that is a great testament to the resilience and the willingness to try something a little bit different. I think the Legends have there's a good opportunity to really draw some fans to the ballpark and have a whole lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Andrew, you mentioned the Bowling Green Hot Rods a little bit earlier. Did I read or hear something earlier that they're going to try to do something with the Hot Rods as well?
Well, it's you mentioned that the first game of the season was supposed to be on April 7th. It would have been an exhibition game between the
Okay.
Bowling Green Hot Rods and Lexington Legends at Whitaker Bank Ballpark. I, since then, have not heard of any other partnership with them. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if that were to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that the minor league parks are being utilized right now by the college kids. That, I mean, you talk about a great looking roster of high school or college kids that are playing right now. If you got an opportunity to get out there and see that college league that's at Whitaker Bank Ballpark, I strongly suggest you do it. I mean, most of those teams are made up of Division I college athletes that are just wanting to play, just wanting to get some time in. Like you said earlier, reps, it's all about that, getting out there and getting to play. So they've got that going on. Weekends are pretty busy there at the ballpark. The tap room's open, all that good stuff around there. Good music, good entertainment value for folks who go out there and enjoy in a safe way too, because they certainly social distance everybody out there and make sure that everybody's good. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward. Obviously we won't get to work with each other this year with the Lexington Legends, but we may be able to do some of this, like you said, the Bourbon Trail thing. We might be able to do some of these
Yes.
college baseball things. And I
I know.
think that Gary and I was talking, and if we could get you on some football broadcasts for our second crew, we might be able to work something out with you
Absolutely.
on that too.
Yeah, certainly.
Absolutely.
I'd be honored to do that. And I played football for 7 years from middle school to high school. So, and I've never broadcasted football, but I'd certainly be willing to give it a shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like I said, and there's nothing like high school football to. Gary's the best, I think, in the state when it comes to play-by-play of high school football. Just my personal opinion, but also a lot of other people's personal opinion. When you get him and Coach Meehan together, we just got to
I was just
find
going to say that.
we got to find your
I was going to say
wingman.
that. I was going to say to Andrew, Coach Meehan will be at a lot of any game you baseball you get at the Whitaker Ballpark. Coach Meehan will be there. He loves
Yeah,
Legends baseball.
yes, he does.
Nice. Well, I'll bring my extra headset for sure if he stops by.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Do
is
that.
there anything that we haven't talked about that we should be talking about tonight? That legends
I,
or what's going on with you or
I
anything?
gotta ask him, Andrew, your favorite baseball movie,
Oh, that's a good one.
or not?
Oh man.
Give us your top three.
There's so many good ones. I mean,
I know.
I love The Sandlot.
Yeah. Big dog, the big dog in a baseball.
This is so hard.
Sandlot.
And then
Field of Dreams.
I love a league. Yeah, I like A League of Their Own. A League of Their Own is a really good one.
There's a lot of history
And
behind
then-
that movie too. Real quick,
Yeah,
is
for sure.
when all the baseball players went off to fight the war, that's what A League of Their Own is all about. Is the women wanted to keep the game going while their men were all fighting the war, and that actually was important piece of history that a lot of people forget that actually happened.
For sure. There's a whole exhibit on it at the Baseball Hall of Fame. I haven't been there in years, but
Yeah.
from what I remember, it was pretty cool to check out and learn about the actual the actual history behind that movie. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. And you just said the key word there, The Natural. That's one of my favorite baseball movies.
There you go. I think my number
You're
three,
right.
though, my number three is going to have to be just because it's a gut buster. The bench warmers. I don't know if y'all have seen the bench warmers,
Yeah,
but it gets me laughing every time.
that's a pretty funny
Yeah.
movie.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched. I like that Clint Eastwood movie too, Trouble with the Curve. I think that's a really good one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and then everybody loves the one about the Oakland A's, Moneyball.
Moneyball.
Yeah, that's a really
Ah,
good
I
one.
didn't. How did I even forget about that?
Yeah,
I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna switch that with the bench warmers just because it is such a good movie.
the guy in
Yeah.
Moneyball kind of reminds me of Jesse a lot. Scaglione. He kind of reminds me of him
Wait,
quite a lot.
you talking about Jonah Hill or Brad Pitt?
John. Yeah, he kind of reminds me of him a lot. I can see
That's
Jesse just thinking about baseball players, just constantly doing the stats in his head about
Yeah,
what works
that's
with
all
who,
he's thinking about every day.
He's a hard worker. He does a great job for the Legends.
No, he does.
And I know
He's. Go ahead, Gary.
No, I was just going to say, I know you guys with the Lexington Legends. I remember a guy that was with the organization. I don't think he's no longer with the Legends. But what a baseball name, Ty Cobb was his name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Tyco.
Ty
His name
was
was
there. At least the first year I was interning with the Legends in 2018.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ty. He's a Cardinal fan, believe it or not.
Yeah.
is he? Ty Cobb's a Cardinal fan.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
a good
No.
dude.
Go figure. Go figure.
He's a good dude. Bill Sally became
Sure.
the new PA voice of the Legends there. Done an excellent job since Ty has left. But and another guy we should give a shout out to. There's probably two of them that have worked with us that we need to give a shout out to tonight, since this is a Legends
I know who you're
themed
thinking.
show. Nick Uhas.
Yes.
Nick always is.
Oh,
I wish Nick would
I-
come back, man. I miss Nick.
oh, he's a great guy.
Yeah,
I love
I-
Nick. He's
We got to
From
sign
what I
Nick
understand,
back
he's
up.
he's really enjoying freelancing though.
Yeah.
He's traveling the country and he's doing his thing. So that's the goal at the end of the day, is to get where you want to go, and that's where he wanted to go. So
Yeah.
my hat's off to him for sure.
I saw Microphone Mike. Obviously he's a great
Yeah.
attraction there at the ballpark. Got to give him props. I keep meaning to get a hold of him so we can do a rap mixtape show one day and talk about all that. I think that'd be cool.
He DJs too, doesn't he?
He likes some of the older music that I do, like Run DMC and those guys. I liked all that, but
Nice.
yeah. So that would be a good show one day to do. But another guy that we didn't get to work with very much last year was Mike Cloud. Mike Cloud's traveling
Cloud.
everywhere. Yeah, the Cloud Cam. You know the
Yeah.
Cloud Cam.
yeah.
Of course.
He does a
We
lot.
have- we-
Sorry, Andrew.
No, you're good.
We-
I was just
Mike-
going to say, he like. I'm sorry, Gary. We'd have trouble with the cloud cam like every other game, and it was just like, I don't know. Sometimes he'd just be like, I'm going to go to third base, and
you talking about the
there for the whole
conversation?
night.
Yeah, you talking about the conversations we had on the headsets about the Mike Cloud Cam, if you will. Man, those
Yes.
were some classic conversations on there. But
yes, indeed.
certainly can't share it with our PG audience.
No, of course not.
Yeah, we got on Cloud quite a bit there, but in all good fun, and everything. But man, it's been fun having you tonight, Andrew. Again, is there anything that we're not touching on that maybe we should, or when can we expect you into town?
I should be locking down an apartment here pretty soon. So in the next week or two, I think is probably the target date for moving back down there. So I'm pumped to be back in the bluegrass and hopefully calling some baseball games in whatever form here pretty soon.
Yeah, I got a feeling I'll see you really soon, man. So we can do some of these college
Yes,
games
indeed.
and do some. Hopefully, we can get you as a second football commentator. Study the game of football too. Just have on your
Absolutely.
in your back pocket there in case we need to call you for it. And
Yes, sir.
Maybe we can get you and Jack together so you can do some extra high school football games because
Yeah.
it's very important, man. Very, very important that we get to stream some of those because, you know, I mean, they're talking little to no crowds possibly for those. So we're in a very, very important time where our community needs
It'll be
us.
important for sure.
Yeah. Immediate family only, right?
Yep. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what I would
It was nice.
suspect. Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Andrew. A
Yeah.
fellow
Nice.
UK grad.
Nice to meet you too, Gary.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you're
you
right.
guys. I was gonna say, Gary, you know, you guys ought to exchange numbers and all that good stuff, and maybe you can even come in and be a wingman one day for Andrew during a game or something, and you guys just have a classic game, if you will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, whatever he needs, we'll be there. But great having you on the show. Next week, by the way, on our podcast, we've got Doug Flynn. Speaking of Doug Flynn's going to come on
Okay,
next week.
that's cool.
Talk about the big. He's not only with the Big Red Machine. Doug also won a Gold Glove with the New York Mets. So Gold Glove winner Doug Flynn will be on the show next Thursday night.
Yeah, I heard his dad
Very
Bobby,
cool.
which Bobby did a lot of work there with the Lexington Legends as well.
Yes.
But I heard he was quite the ball player in his time as well.
He was a phenomenal baseball player. Played for the Lexington Hustlers.
Yeah,
Which was
the
an
original
all.
Lexington Hustlers.
Yeah, but he was one of the few white guys on that they were in the Negro League, and he was a tremendous infielder.
Yeah,
Bobby was a great athlete growing up. Great athlete.
yeah. And I believe they just had an anniversary for the league as well, just a couple of days ago, didn't they? But
100 years, I think.
yeah, you ought to look back on if you want some really good baseball knowledge about the area. Look back. KET's got a documentary out about the Lexington Hustlers, the original. They talked to Bobby in there. They talked to another guy that's in there that was on Bobby's team. But the history of that team and talking about the Bluegrass State and who they played against, there was guys like Satchel Paige and Willie Mays that came to town to play these guys.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And just to think it was right here in Lexington.
You said that's KET?
Yeah, KET. When you get to town, check out KET. It might be on their website
I'll check
possibly.
that out. Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to look it up tonight.
It is a great documentary on the Lexington Hustlers.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, man, it's been fun, and Andrew, again, we look forward to working with you soon, man.
Yeah, I'm same here. Thank you both very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank
All
you.
right, that's
Appreciate it.
Andrew Murphy, and of course my tag team partner, as always, here on the network, Mr. Gary Ball, the legend himself. I'm the King of Stream, William Warfield, saying until next time. So long, everybody.